Another installation of the number one podcast. I am your host, Coach Jake. Hope you guys are doing good. Happy to see all you guys chiming in. What's up, Remington? Sherlock. Man, we got 32 people on right out the gate. What's up, Raina? Talking about some craziness, wrestling with giants. I want to talk about. I saw Abe Lincoln was trending, and I thought, what a great chance to talk about Abe Lincoln, because the thing about Abe Lincoln, we all know. Hey, what's up? A Balfala 6. I am Iranian. Hey, dude. Happy to see you, dude. Welcome. We got Iran in the house. Iranian. Hope you guys are doing good today. Hit me up with the chat. Number one, say hello. Yasser says fact. Okay, cool. I guess. I don't know. But I want to talk about this, man. Welcome to the number one podcast. I'm your host, Coach Jake. We're going to dive into some goodness here. The strategies that forge champions that are not just in the ring. Maybe they're in the ring. Maybe they're in life. Maybe they're in both. And I think one guy that qualifies for that is Honest Abe. Abe Lincoln. So today we're exploring a side of history that really does intertwine with the very core of things that are passionate to me. Hopefully they're passionate to you. Wrestling and overcoming adversity. So, Vaughn. Hey, Coach Jake, how are you doing? I'm doing good, brother. Where are you at, Vaughn? Where are you at, man? I'm in Denver right now. Okay, Yasser just sent a bunch of dick emojis. All right. So this episode really isn't just about wrestling, right? We're talking about wrestling and overcoming adversity. I'm really here, right? What's up, Will Coach 21? A Towns BG, Farden Nasir. Happy to see all you guys. So Abraham Lincoln is an interesting character. I don't think he was a great president because I think there was a lot of hype around him. I do love the fact that his presidency dealt with the fatal flaw of America. Unfortunately, I don't think it dealt with it the right way because it didn't really put an end to problems, and that is chattel human slavery. That's a big problem. So kudos on that. Should have happened in 1776. There was plenty of abolitionists at that time. In fact, if we're going to point our finger at anybody, it was Georgia. We were ready to completely eliminate slavery with the ratification, but Georgia refused to sign on in our battle against England if we put in the stipulation that slavery would be ended. And unfortunately, they made the decision like, we need Georgia's troops, we need Georgia's men to take on the world's largest naval force at the time. The sun never set on the British Empire, right? So Georgia, we could have had a flawless implementation of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights if it wasn't for you. I don't know. I like Georgia. I like Atlanta, but I don't like the CDC. They're located in Georgia, and I don't like that history lesson. But let's talk about Lincoln, right? So it's not really about wrestling. It's about struggle. It's about strategy. It's about perseverance, grit, doing it when you don't feel like doing it, whatever it is, right? We all have those problems. So whether you're here to gain an edge in the business world, whether you're here to master the art of catch-as-catch-can wrestling, or you just like a good story, you're in the right place. Let's go. Now, let's imagine that we're stepping into the wrestling ring of history, right? I wanted to kind of draw these parallels using Lincoln, mostly because he's trending. It just popped up. I was like, okay, cool. I love Lincoln. Let's talk about him. And let's look at what Honest Abe was able to accomplish despite what's trending is, I guess, Lincoln battled depression. Okay. And he still ended up being president, had winning an incredible wrestling career, did amazing things despite all that, right? So he didn't really let it slow him down. So some of you may not know this, but Lincoln's actually enshrined in the Wrestling Hall of Fame. I mean, the guy was a stud wrestler. You guys know about this, right? And we all know how he was built. It wasn't built like, when you think of a wrestler, do you think of somebody built like Abe Lincoln, tall and lanky? Well, dude, he was a stud, total stud. Okay. I think there's a great article on history.com about his wrestling. Now, he made money, got him through, as a wrestler, betting on his wrestling skills. Now, one thing that's to be noted, some people they get confused and think that he was a catch-can wrestler. He was an Irish collar and elbow wrestler, okay, which is actually a form of wrestling where you start standing, you start in a collar and elbow position, and then the first person to get the fall is the winner, okay? No, there's no ground wrestling or limited ground wrestling in Irish collar and elbow. Anyway, Lincoln's battles were not just physical, man. This guy had issues, right? So you got to set the tone here. Let's talk Illinois, okay, Springfield, before he was elected president. So this is a guy who could wrestle and win all the time. Super athletic dude, okay? Now, he started splitting rails and working on the prairie. I mean, so he had all that physical stuff, right? He wrestled, he lifted heavy objects, he was famous for doing tug of wars. What's up, Demigoon? Happy to see you, dude. Big Joe Wrestling, happy to have you here, buddy. The Tornado MMA. Welcome, my friend. We're talking about Abe Lincoln and wrestling. So National Wrestling Hall of Fame inducted him as an outstanding American in 1992. Guy was 6'4". Okay. Crushed it, dude. I think he has a record of like over 400 wins with one loss as a wrestler. He used it to fund himself. He used wrestling to fund his pursuit of law, to become an attorney. I mean, he was an interesting guy. But what I find interesting is that he was really suffering with melancholy, is what they used to call it before they tried to make a medical thing and sell you pills, which don't do much of a thing. Like, you can Google Prozac and placebo and see what I'm talking about. Okay, but I mean, he was a depressed guy. If we could take depression not as a medical issue, but as a problem of the mind, of thinking, of existential being, he was sad. He was depressed, man. He had teachers that said he was suicidal, all this. Guess what? Didn't matter. He did it anyway. Literally, America's worst crisis, an actual war, which, we talk about right now with all the modern events and Texas potentially seceding and all this stuff. There was actually a civil war. Like, the country was actually divided, fighting each other here. More casualties in that war, I think, than any other war we've been involved with. And Lincoln handled it. He brought everything together. He won. He brought the United States together. Now, there's all kinds of things that he did that were shady. I mean, this is not here. I'm not here to whitewash the guy, but I am here to talk about the fact that he was very, very, very depressed. Like, I got a letter here that he wrote to John Stewart in 1841. He was 32 years old. It says, quote, "I am now the most miserable man living. If what I feel were equally distributed to the whole human family, there would not be one cheerful face on earth. Whether I shall ever be better, I cannot tell. I awfully forebode. I shall not. To remain as I am is impossible." Okay, there's all these like letters. This is actually from Fox News. They had this great article talking about it. And they give all kinds of things. Oh, well, it was genetics. How the hell do you know? Okay, this stuff is ridiculous. Historical records indicate that Lincoln's mother and father were disposed to melancholy and that one side of his family was thick with mental disease. So let's just dismantle this first of all. Depression is not a disease. There is no physical somatic etiology, etiology. Okay. There is no somatic pathology. There's no blood test. None of it. It's all nonsense. I'm just telling you, like, this is, if you start looking past the marketing of them trying to sell you junk and actually look at the science, these are facts that are well established, right? So you got to just look at how they're always trying to sell you some crap. Okay, how Lincoln dealt with depression. This is interesting. Before the age of psychotherapy and antidepressant medications, exactly my case here, Lincoln learned to live with his depressive disposition. He would frequently use humor and storytelling to elevate his mood and distract himself from his depression. I mean, dude, and can I tell you something? He didn't off himself. He was offed by a political opponent. He won hundreds and hundreds of matches. Quote, it does not appear that it was the 16th president's persona to acquiesce. Lincoln persevered and served this country eloquently. Okay. Siegel noted that in Lincoln's time, depression was referred to as melancholy and was typically treated with opium. See, even back then, they were trying to do this, right? So, I don't know, man. What do you guys think of all this? I mean, is it hard for you even to believe that Lincoln was a badass wrestler? Oh, Tomas, what's up, Tomas H? Says, Lincoln was a Libyan Nephilim for sure, and I'm a fan of all the above. Okay, that's some craziness. Nephilim, I think, are the giant race of people or something. Skinny guys will fight until they're burger. Tyler Durden, so true. Great stuff, dude. I appreciate that, Tomas. Yeah, I mean, lanky wrestlers are a problem, right? And this is something that it took me a long time to learn. I was always coached. I'm tall. I'm not 6'4", I'm 6'1", and lanky. Always been. And I was coached like I was 5'7", spark plug, and it never worked for me. It was very frustrating until I found coaches that knew how to coach for my body type. Mostly Billy Robinson, Carl Gotch, and Wade Chalice, all of them bigger wrestlers. So, yeah, real stud. But anyway, guys, listen, I'm here. I'm open. I've got about 5-10 minutes. I just wanted to touch on this thing about Abraham Lincoln and get the conversation going. You know, he was a real stud. Now, he did some bad things too. I think he did one of the largest public hangings. Was it of Native American people? Like some kind of atrocious things. I also say his battle for the United States was not over slavery. So I think a lot of people conflate the fact that it happened to happen, a logical fallacy known as post hoc ergo propter hoc, because of this, then that, even though they're not actually causally tied. In fact, Lincoln was expressed explicitly that his number one, if keeping the United States together meant keeping slavery, he would have done it. He just was like, I don't think it's tenable. I don't think he can do that. So whether that was rhetorical or whether I just have to take him on face value that that's what he meant. He was not a fan of, the slavery issue. He was more interested in keeping the United States together, okay, which is noble in itself, I suppose. And that slavery issue did have to be resolved from, 50, 100 years prior. But the thing to remember here is that he was, if it wasn't for Lincoln, lots of Americans died in that Civil War. I don't know if there was a better way to go about it. I'm not a Civil War historian. I know a little bit. A friend of mine is a Civil War historian, Jeffrey Rogers Hummel. Brilliant guy. Haven't talked to him in a couple of years, but he's a professor where I went to grad school. And he wrote a book called Emancipating Slaves, Enslaving Free Men, and talked about how really, even though that time period emancipated African Americans from chattel slavery, which is a great thing, right? That should not happen, regardless of who it is or whatever. But then that was a bit of a bait and switch, because if we take the argument from esteemed philosopher Robert Nozick that any tax on labor is a form of slavery, that was when we said, okay, we're not going to have slavery is illegal the way it was done, but we're going to introduce an income tax, which is a slicker way of introducing conscripted labor. I don't know. Crazy times. So, but that said, listen, he did not let depression slow him down. Oh, what's up, Morgan? Happy to see you. Silverback's martial arts says, yeah, he slaughtered natives, LOL. But for the time, he was about as progressive as a person he could. He was a stud, amazing collar and elbow wrestler, and great leader. Yeah, exactly. Now, I guess you could have quibbles with anybody over things. I think really setting the precedent and bringing the income tax to America, that's pretty bad. Him slaughtering innocent people, hanging people, pretty bad. The amount of people that died during the Civil War, pretty bad. Maybe these are why he's depressed. Maybe it's not chemicals. Maybe he was making hard decisions and he wasn't able to sleep at night because his decisions. Maybe no amount of chemical lobotomy could get, I mean, like, so he was doing heavy stuff. That might have dealt with, been a part of the depression. I didn't hear anything, and maybe there is, maybe you guys can help me out, of him being depressed when he was wrestling, getting physical exercise, doing this stuff, winning all the time. His depression might have come when he was doing political stuff, which is depressing. I do find politics to be unbelievably depressing. That's not a medical problem. That's like a problem of dealing with other people and things outside your control, and maybe making compromises or whatever that you have a hard time sleeping about or feeling good about. Something to consider instead of just saying, oh, he needed antidepressants. Again, Google Prozac and placebo, man. Google it. There's a a great book out there, Emperor, what is it? It's not Emperor Wears No Clothes, Emperor's New Drug by Irving Kirsch, who's I believe he's a Harvard psychologist or psychiatrist. Great book about very scathing critique of big pharma. Shocker. But anyway, look, guys, you got any questions for me? You got anything that I can help you with? I'm always here. Whether it's, my realm of expertise is rather narrow, but it's rather deep. And that is anything to do with catch-can wrestling, whether it be technique, history, strategy, business, and then business broadly. I have a master's degree in financial mathematics. I worked in investment banking, mortgage banking, software, started and grown and sold companies, 10x elite business coach. I don't know what else you need, but I'm here to help you. Oh, what's up, Silverbacks? Morgan, off topic, but what's your opinion on our options in the upcoming election? Looks like another Biden-Trump election with RFK as the independent. So I'll use an analogy that I always do. Voting is like betting on WWE outcomes. I don't do it. Do you bet on WWE? Do you know anybody who bets on WWE? There's a lot of problems with our system, and one of them is voting. Voting in itself is the problem, because voting doesn't work. Voting is a popularity contest, and popularity contests very seldomly, and we can see it, are the best paths to vet leadership. Look at the history of the United States, especially in the last 50, 100 years, man, the leaders are no bueno. Just because they can buy a bunch of marketing and get in your face and convince Taylor Swift, who's got oatmeal for brains to vote, and then that gets all the rest of the oatmeals for brains to vote a certain way. It doesn't matter. And even if you think your guy is good, I am not a Trump humper. As bad as Biden is, Trump is not a walk in the park. He's probably better than Biden because at least he can string a sentence together and knows which way to exit after a press conference. But Trump, he's talked about getting rid of the Second Amendment. He says, I'll do it first and then argue, which is even scarier. He's also the reason why, he fell for all of Fauci's stuff. So, I mean, I just think that we need to stop looking outside of ourselves and start looking at ourselves as the presidents of our life and act appropriately. And if you are your own sovereign state, you've got to negotiate carefully all the other sovereign states, meaning not just other individuals, but all of the other governments, right? Because you may be right or you may not be right on a certain issue, but if they have more guns and jails than you, you might just need to figure out a different way of living. So that said, I like RFK. No guarantee. Who knows what would happen with that guy? He ran an ad. I guess it bummed out some people. I saw he made an apologetic tweet for the ad because it triggered some people in his family because it was a nostalgic video. DBXJLA, could you make more videos on single leg setups? Well, it depends on what your sport is, because if you're doing MMA, the setups are largely going to include punching or getting tied up. Same with grappling minus the punching. If it's just wrestling where there's no submissions or punches or kicks or knees, then you could consider adding level changes as well. But unless you're amazing at it and you have great timing, I'm just a fan of more Greco tie-ups, Greco entries into something that looks like a high crotch or a single, then dumping them, right? Wrestling folk style. Yeah, so if you're wrestling folk style, there's so much to get that, man. I don't know how explosive you are, if you've got long arms, because maybe you could just do ankle picks like Sanderson. I mean, there's a lot of variables. I would head over to BJJ Fanatics, actually Wrestling Fanatics. There's a bunch of great stuff there. That would probably be the fastest thing, but I know you're probably looking for it for free, but there's a ton of stuff for free online. I don't know what I can do like this. You could show up to camp. Show up to the camp. I don't know where you're located, but show up to a camp with Wade Chalice. He'll tune you up, man. That guy's literally the greatest ever. RENXT says, yo, WSG, bro. What is SWG? I don't know. Silverback says, I just can't understand with all the young, intelligent, upcoming politicians, we're once again stuck with 270-year-old old corrupt guys with failed past leadership. Dude. Maybe it's because my premise for my 2009 book, Anomaly, Revolutionary Knowledge in Everyday Life, RENXT means what's good. What's good, dude? Thank you for translating to this old dude. I'm trying to get up to date on all the acronyms and stuff. Appreciate that. What's good, man? Life is good. Life is good. Very grateful for my health, grateful for the health of my family, my friends, grateful for the health of all you guys and your family and friends. Grateful for amazing technology like this where I'm able to actually reach out and hang out and talk with you for a little bit. Help if I can. I don't know if I can help you. But yeah, I think, okay, so let me phrase this better. There's nothing to be done with if we have a voting system. Because it's not really run off of, our system isn't run off of a meritocracy. It's run off of a popularity contest. And that's really awful, as we could see. Now, they did the best that they could, right? Tej Verb asks, advice for beginner coaches. I coach a youth program. If you're coaching youth, make it a game. Just like you're playing Monopoly, like you're playing Chutes and Ladders, like you're playing a video game, make it a game. Don't put pressure, don't yell, unless, you're trying to get them to focus. And even then, make it fun if you're a youth coach. That's the most important thing is you got to get them involved, focus on wins, show them how to do tricks, make it cool for them. That's the greatest thing that you can do. Let's see here. Oh, RENXT says, you for sure help me, bro. I won against a guy 20 kilos more than me. For you here in America that don't know, 20 kilos, there's 2.2 kilos per pound. So he hit a guy that's 40. Hey, so RE, tell me, what did you do? How did I help you? I would love the feedback, because if it helps you, it might help other people. I appreciate that feedback, brother. Tej Verb says, thanks. Yeah, I mean, I think people get mired down in the technique, and I think so much of it is about how do we inculcate, how do we teach, how do we instill consistency? What my friend Ricky Lindell says, 1% every day, 1% better every day. How do you do that and have that every day just be every day? Like no days off. This is the thing that drives me nuts. Oh, RENXT says, you told me to learn Greco-Roman, and that helped with the big guys. Dude, people are sleeping on Greco. So I never touched it. I had no idea about Greco until I started with Billy. And what I learned was Billy started with catch as catch can. That was his foundation, which is effectively folk style with submissions. Okay. Billy Riley sent him to Germany to learn state-of-the-art then Greco-Roman. So if you see a lot of the stuff that we talk about, pivoting, all the takedowns, frankly, in the Billy Robinson system are from this 1950s era Greco. It's sick. So if you go and you see catch wrestling takedowns, that was the work of Carl, who was a Greco-Roman champ, Billy, who went and studied with the best in Greco, how they integrated it for the catch as catch can game, which is slightly different than the freestyle or the folk style, because catch as catch can, you can get a gravit, you can get a face lock, you can get choked. So you couldn't change the levels in the same way. Anyway, fascinating stuff. I think if you want to learn more, the easiest way is go over and get my instructionals, catch wrestling takedowns. Tons. So, bestseller, very highly rated. Tej Verb says, how often should kids be on the mats, in your opinion? They, as much as possible. They're kids. Stop. Okay, so we are automatically designed to learn. It's built in. We got these gigantic freaking brains for animals, and we've been able to create AI and freaking satellites and submarines and technology and internet, all this amazing stuff because of this brain. And this is the thing that I think you need to understand. You don't need to be forced into anything. You don't need to be told constantly what to do. Sure, you need structure and you don't want to reinvent the wheel. So you want people to help you so you're efficient. But you need to get these kids out on the mats having fun. And the more they do it, the better they'll get. You don't get better not being on the mats. So I would argue if you can do it, get them on the mat every day. It doesn't have to be a banger 90-minute workout. I mean, that's how I came up, how I like it. Like a 90-minute workout is like, that was a workout. But for the little ones, you just need, if they did 20 minutes a day, there's a study. K. Anders Ericsson, a guy that's influenced a lot of my understanding of life. He passed away in 2020. He was at a university in Florida. I want to say University of Central Florida. I can't remember. But he founded this whole new field of study called expertise acquisition. So if you've heard this 10,000 hour rule from that book, Blank or whatever, by Malcolm Gladwell, he got it from K. Anders Ericsson. Okay. It was his work that he was quoting. He has this corollary called the 100-hour rule. 10,000 hours is what it takes to hit like Olympic level, like grandmaster level chess, like that kind of stuff, right? But there's a corollary. You don't have to do 10,000 hours. You have to consider this. They did a study said people who do 100 hours a year, that's 18 minutes a day, studying deliberately, focused, really trying to grow, uncomfortable learning, growth, hard learning, 18 minutes a day. If they did that every day for a year, that adds up to 100 hours. Okay? If you do that, you end up in the top 90% of whatever you're studying, whether it's calculus, bass guitar, sales and business, wrestling, ice skating, whatever it is. That little bit of consistency every day. RENXT, yo dude, yo bro, do you spar anymore? I don't. It was one of the hardest things that I ever had to go through. I watched Billy Robson, Wade Chalice, all these other guys go through this. When you hit a certain age, due to either injuries or whatever, you have to not do it anymore. And dude, I was beat up bad. I have one carotid artery, so I was getting lightheaded. I was getting half the oxygen everybody else did. Prior to that, I could beat everybody on conditioning. I wasn't that great of an athlete. I mean, I got good genetics for athletics. 23andMe says I have the elite power athlete, power sprinter genes, which I think is part of why I was any good, because I didn't really apply myself crazy hard. But I always had more gas than the other guy until my carotid went out. And that happened when I was in 2008, so I was about 35. And everything just went really quick after that. So, yeah, I kind of fool around, but, dude, I seriously get lightheaded. And because the carotid was on my left side and I was having mini strokes, I lose my vision. I have these, like, problems. My right hand doesn't work because the left brain controls the right hand. It is what it is. It was very depressing to me. I finally, like 2008 is when the carotid dissection happened. And it was 2013 when I finally was like, I cannot do this. I tried to figure it out for about 5 years and I just couldn't do it. I was like, dude, something is seriously wrong here. And I don't want to be permanently injured because of it. So now I just warn people about the dangers of carotid dissections. Don't fight out of chokes. That was my dumb mistake. RENXD says, that's tough, bro. How did you deal with it? Well, we were talking about Abraham Lincoln being depressed. I was depressed, dude. I just knew I wasn't me. I wasn't the me that I knew I could be and that I was and what I was able to accomplish. I just couldn't do it anymore. And so, that it happens to every athlete. You have an expiration date, and some people get to go longer than others. But at a certain point, you have to remember that your identity, you can't be in an identity trap. And I wasn't really smart enough to recognize that at the time, but I was still trapped in who I was and not who I was. I mean, who the present me was at the time, given the limitations and the injuries. And I didn't know how to deal. It was very difficult. And then, there are things that do happen when you have a stroke that can cause personality changes, risk-taking behaviors. Like, dude, it was not a fun time for me. Yeah. So me, NO16, my brother, say hello to the youth. Hello, youth. You guys are the future, man. You guys are the future. And he's speaking French to me, but I don't speak French. I'm so sorry. I have very few regrets in my life. I would say one of my regrets is I wish that I spoke like 4 or 5 languages. I think people like that have a richer experience of life. I wish I would have traveled more. Other than that, pretty damn happy with everything, all the life choices I've made. Learned a lot, made a lot of crazy, ridiculous mistakes, but didn't repeat them. Learned the hard way, touched the hot stove, and took that burn and learned not to do dumb stuff anymore. That's really where it comes down to it. And this is why when you're asking, like, what should you do is how much time should the kids spend on the mat? Dude, everything is science. This is why, I love the term scientific wrestling for my company, is that, what is real science? Yeah, we think science is knowledge, but It's deeper to me. To me, science is the method of knowledge acquisition. And that is done, just like expertise acquisition, through hours and hours consistent play, work, experimentation, right? F around and find out. That's science. If you're not effing around and finding out, you're not doing science, and you're unlikely getting better. You might be great at memorizing stuff, but you have to get out and start thinking like a field scientist, like testing what works, like an engineer. Does that make sense? All right, guys. Any other questions? Anything I can help you with? Anybody need help generating more income, making more revenue? I can certainly help you with that. I've got an incredible track record. That's where I spend a lot of my time these days. Right now, I'm working very hard on getting Shoot Pro Wrestling to the next level. I believe that once I do that, I think so we'll talk about experimentation in my path. So I think that I started at the bottom trying to get people to adopt catch from the bottom up. And I love that notion because I don't like top-down methodologies because those tend to be authoritarian. And I think the old way of catch is bottom up, which is two people agree to a match. They say, I'm the wrestler, you're the wrestler. Here are the rules. Show up at this time. Let's go. That's at the grassroots level, not some promoter top down or some governing body telling them top down what to do. I prefer that. That's a slow, hard path. So one of the things that upon reflection I noticed was, why is jiu-jitsu everywhere? Okay, I did lots of jiu-jitsu. I have respect for jiu-jitsu. I think it's great. I love it. Me personally, I found it to be lacking. And so I found a lot of what I needed in Catch as Catch Can. I started out as an amateur wrestler, then moved to martial arts, judo, then jiu-jitsu for a while, and then back to wrestling because I found when I was doing my experimentation, the wrestlers were the best. But I was doing this experiment, found this out in the late 90s. I didn't need the statistics that have now since come out. I was gathering the statistics. I was living it. I'm like, dude, I'll get a good wrestler, the first match with my tricks, but then he learns it and he's vastly superior because of his experience in wrestling. And so I doubled down onto wrestling, right? But the thing is I'm like, why is jiu-jitsu everywhere? Amateur wrestling's everywhere because it's largely been socialized. People don't like to say that and don't want to hear that, but wrestling is socialized, meaning it's paid for through taxation, through socialism, okay? And this is why it's always in danger. It was going to be because it's all top down. This is the danger of it. So you notice that it was almost eliminated from the Olympics recently. Thank God MMA came about because it showed the utility of wrestling and got enrollments up. But before UFC, wrestling was on its way out. And a lot of athletic directors would like to see wrestling go. It's got the highest rate of disease because they unfortunately include skin diseases like MRSA and ringworm in particular. So it's got a high rate of injury, even though it's not really an injury. A lot of times wrestlers don't do the best in terms of other programs academically. Okay, it doesn't bring in the money that football does. So you see, like a lot of these programs were in a lot of trouble. So I went back and I said, well, what is it that jiu-jitsu did? Because jiu-jitsu is not socialized. For all the things that I don't like about jiu-jitsu, and there's a few, there's a lot that I do like too. But one of the things I really liked was like, man, these guys have figured out how to market this, bring it to the market-based. It ain't going to go away that way. Because you got broad adoption, regardless if it's being subsidized with property taxes or income taxes, like wrestling. And as I started looking, I'm like, well, the only reason why Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is in every strip mall is because the way the first couple of UFCs were booked to make Jiu-Jitsu look amazing when they ran the promotion. They started the UFC, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, as a marketing vehicle. I was like, duh. This is why I have leaned so heavily into Shoot Pro Wrestling the last couple of years. The two things that I've been working on now that I've built out Scientific Wrestling, we've done the camps forever. We've got all the instructional material, all the grappling literacy material out there. Now I'm starting to focus beyond just the coaching and the training and the information. That I feel is out there and solid. It's people are learning that. But now we've got to start getting people to mass adopt it. So I've got a two-prong approach. One is Shoot Pro Wrestling to show people a showcase of high-level athletes doing catch as catch can, which is effectively professional wrestling rules with competitive grappling, not scripted outcomes. No one taking dives, nobody being theatrical whatsoever. Zero. Okay? That's Shoot Pro Wrestling. When people see this, like you can go to shootprowrestling.com. I have all the matches from the 3 shows that I put on already. Go look at it. I think you'll enjoy it. It really is a great way. It's the only way. It's a proven way. It was more popular than boxing, baseball, football, all of that when it was competitive. Because the rule set makes sense, just like UFC. 2 ways to win. UFC, submission or knockout. Yeah, there's some judging because that's got to happen, but submission or knockout. Same thing with Shoot Pro Wrestling, pin or submission. 2 ways, simple. And not only that, but pro wrestling is so deep in the American iconography. It's the longest running TV show in the history of TV shows. Everybody can connect with pro wrestling. Well, let's just make it a shoot. That's it. That's it. That's all I'm doing. RENXD says that's a great idea, bro. Stick to it. Thanks, dude. Appreciate it, man. All right, guys. Oh, Tomas is back. What did he say? What's up, Tomas? Wait a minute. Had to run some errands, and I agree with Adam Lane Smith assessment of male depression. That's a lack of purpose and learned helplessness. That's it, dude. That's it. Learned helplessness. I talked about this in that same section of Anomaly, my 2009 book, about learned helplessness. You can go to mentalselfdefense.com. All of that entirety of that book is up for free. mentalselfdefense.com. I love that. I'm going to have to look up this Adam Lane Smith guy. Yeah, dude, lack of purpose and learned helplessness. I agree with that 100%. 100%. And you've also got to understand, if you have any kind of empathy in you and you're doing like authoritarian evil shit like hanging Native Americans, you're probably going to be depressed. Okay, it says, and Lincoln having family depression issues doesn't necessarily show family inheritance of some kind of condition, but rather generations that didn't set it up. Yeah, right. Dude, you're so dialed in, dude. I agree with you 100%. All right, guys, anything else before we wrap up? I've got things to do, other people to help. I'm happy to hang out for another 1 or 2 minutes. If you got any questions, let them rip now. Otherwise, I'm going to jump off. I appreciate all you guys always joining me here. If I can help you, hit me up in the DMs. I'd love to have you on the mission. I'm talking about having a purpose, and I've got a purpose, and I got a purpose for you. If you align with me, I want to bring back Catch as Catch Can. I want to bring back this competitive grappling under professional wrestling rules, and I could use your help, whether that's with Shoot Pro Wrestling. Maybe you got ideas that can help me with distribution or broadcasting, or a capital investor, a financial, an angel investor, or anything like that. Of course, maybe you want to help me by being an affiliate gym. Maybe you are somewhere and you've got a gym, and I can help you by bringing an amazing curriculum, the incredible coaching that we have available. We got Pat Miletich now. We've got Wade Chalice, King Mo. Like, it's amazing, right? RENXD. You should really make shorts on other platforms. So we have YouTube, and I'm gonna be real. I am getting the help I need. It's just slow because I'm gonna be real. Unless you guys throw a bunch of money my way, I've been doing a lot of this on this project as a passion play. Just being real, just being vulnerable. There's not a lot of money in this, and I'm good at making money. So I've been focusing on, I've got 3 kids. I'm married. I have serious responsibilities. And so, a lot of my time is spent figuring out how best to make a living. And I do scientific wrestling as a passion. Now, ever since lockdowns, I realized something. You got to go big or go bigger, or you're going to get crushed and killed because of the circumstances outside your control. You got to get so big you're indestructible. So that's what I really did. I went back to the drawing board and was like, we're going to blow this up huge. I've been taking it serious as a business as well. It doesn't mean I'm going to sell out any integrity or principles, but I'm going to make this big and I'm going to make it massive and I want to make it fast. So I'd love to have your help. You can check us out, become an affiliate gym. That's probably the best way because you will help fund things, but you also get take advantage of all the ways to make money. Literally, it's a no-brainer, right? So go to scientificwrestler.com. Maybe that's a good fit for you. Go to shootprowrestling.com. Maybe you know somebody in broadcasting or is really good at distribution, or maybe you know an editor, something like that, right? RENXD, quality over quantity. You need a good hookup for the shorts to blow up. No, quality and quantity. That's also a myth, and I'm sorry because I'm a business guy. In fact, if I were to have to choose, I would put out quantity over quality. And I know a lot of people don't understand that, but a lot of people aren't huge and massive. And the people that are huge and massive would agree with me. I study this and I am on that path, and I've done it in other fields, and now I've got to do it here. So yeah, I've got people working on that, on the shorts, on building out the YouTube. This last year I built out Instagram myself. Pretty unbelievable what I've been able to do with, I would say 99% of it is organic. 99% of the growth on Instagram for Scientific Wrestling has been organic. My strategies, which has been a quantity over quality approach. We have added over 500 people a day since last April. So it's got to have been almost 300 days or so of this kind of growth, which is amounted to over 120,000 followers inside of 10 months or 11 months. That's like 10,000 people a month or something crazy. Yeah, I have the stats to prove everything. Mostly organic. And that was really quantity over quality, really, if I were to boil that down. So where I'm going with this is that YouTube's next, then TikTok, and then last Facebook. Facebook is for, sorry to say it, but old people that ain't going to get on the mat and help me out. I mean, just being real. Okay. Maybe they have a little more money or something. Maybe not. I mean, honestly, Facebook is kind of a dud. And I could see it because I see other people put their efforts there and there's zero engagement. Whereas on, for example, Instagram, I get massive engagement. I'll make a post, I'll get 1,000 likes, 1 million views, super engagement. Same with TikTok. So we're going to be moving mostly in the next year, focusing on the marketing efforts on YouTube and TikTok. And that will involve short films. I have so much content. It's absolutely obscene. I have so much footage to put out, from my footage that I've captured in 20 years, from the footage that I have the rights to. Unbelievable amount of footage that just needs to be chopped. And so we're working on a couple partners there. If you know somebody that's talented, good, cares about the project, I'm just going to be real. I don't have a ton of money. So this needs to be somebody who's actually can deliver. I'm smart enough and old enough. I'm used to some of the sales pitches, right? I'm open to rev shares, but if you can't deliver money, then you need to go find another sucker, right? Because I'm serious about making this happen. Anyways, I appreciate the hell out of you guys. Hit me up in the DMs if I can help you. You can check me out. Obviously, go to scientificwrestling.com for all your grappling needs. We've got so many good events, dude. Listen, these events are special. They expire. They do not exist once they happen. You guys are fucking buying stupid ass NFTs and shit. Like, buy the experience. Get in the room. Actually get to know people. I'm telling you, it's a no-brainer. I don't know what to tell you guys. Like, this is the number one thing to getting better, is getting in the room, making the sacrifices. Go to coachingcatch.com. Look at the incredible itinerary that we have. Okay, all the way from starting the beginning of next month. I'm doing a whole seminar on Nelson's, dude. The most dangerous hold in all of grappling. All of it. The deadliest hold I'm doing a complete dissection of the hold for my best-selling BJJ Fanatics series, the first one ever on Nelson's for grappling. You could show up. Just get in the room. Jump on a quick Southwest Airlines flight overnight. Get a B&B. Dude, I don't even know what to tell you guys. You got to get away from the screens and show up in the rooms. Go and help me with becoming an affiliate or find an affiliate. You want what we have? We can bring it to you. You may not own the gym, but you know somebody does. Make the digital introduction. Send them scientificwrestler.com. Shoot Pro Wrestling. Maybe you are a post-production guy or you know somebody. Connect with me. It's a win-win. Maybe you have nothing to do with grappling. Maybe you're part of the 25-30% of my audience that has nothing to do with wrestling and grappling. And maybe you're a fan of mine from business coaching, from being a 10X business coach or my work with Number One. Go to Number One, NO1.LLC, like a limited liability corporation. NO1.LLC. Check it out, man. I will blow you up. I will help you. All right, guys. That's it. I don't see any other questions. Reza says, hello and. Okay. I think that might be hello. Thank you. Hello. All right, guys. I'm going to head out. Appreciate you. DM me. Get to no1.llc, Number One LLC. Get to scientificwrestling.com. Get to scientificwrestler.com. Get to shootprowrestling.com. Get to coachingcatch.com. Get to an accelerator camp. Hit me in the DMs. Appreciate the hell out of you guys. Remember, be persistent. Remember, don't give in to learned helplessness. Love that one, Tomas. Don't give in to lack of purpose. Get a crazy purpose. Help me with mine if you don't have one. I got plenty of motivation, dude, to spare. Get on board the scientific wrestling mission.